Picture this. Tuesday afternoon. You're standing in your own hallway, socks on hardwood, cup of coffee gone cold in your hand. You weren't trying to listen. You were just going to ask if she wanted anything from the store. But her voice stops you. Not the words. The tone. Light. Easy. Like she hasn't sounded with you in years. He follows me from room to room, Corinne. Like a lost dog. I swear, retirement was supposed to be his problem, not mine. You hear a laugh. Not hers. Her friends. The best part of him working was him not being here. 31 years, and I never noticed how much space he takes up until he stopped leaving. Then your wife says something that makes your hand go numb around the mug. You remember those 3 months I stayed at Barbara's? That was the last time I felt like a person. And you know exactly why. Another laugh. Softer. Knowing. Girl, Corinne says. Some women lose their husbands too young. You didn't lose yours soon enough. And your wife laughs. In your kitchen. In your house. About you. That was my hallway. My wife. My 31 years. My name is Dale Pickett. I'm 56 years old. And I just found out I've been a guest in my own marriage. Lucille and I met in 1993 at a Shoney's on Cantrell Road in Little Rock. She was waitressing through community college. I was 22, fresh hired at Energy Arkansas, the power company. Started as a lineman, worked up to field supervisor over the next 3 decades. Quiet work for a quiet man. We married in 95. Small ceremony. Her mother cried. My father shook my hand and said, "Don't give her a reason, and she won't go looking for one." I held on to that for 31 years. It worked. Or looked like it did. I pulled long shifts, storm calls, outage runs, weekend rotations. Lucille kept the house, kept things steady. When June came along, late, both of us past 45, I thought we'd been handed a second act. Something to build the last chapter around. I remember one evening. June was maybe 2. I came home from a 12-hour shift, boots still muddy, and Lucille was asleep on the couch with June on her chest. Both of them breathing in rhythm. I stood in the doorway and thought, this is it. This is the whole thing. I held on to that, too. When did it change? I couldn't name the day, but I remember when I noticed. About 3 years before retirement, Lucille started sighing. Not the tired kind. The kind that comes when someone walks into a room and you wish they hadn't. I'd come home and say, hey. She'd say, hey, without looking up. I'd ask about her day. Fine. I'd sit down. She'd get up. Then came the bedroom. Not tonight. I'm tired. That phrase became a wall. Weeks would pass. I'd reach for her hand during a movie and she'd shift it to her lap. I'd kiss her forehead in the morning and she'd flinch. Not big, just a millimeter. Enough. I stopped reaching. Not as a strategy. I just ran out of ways to pretend it didn't land. Energy offered early retirement packages in February. I took mine. 31 years, full pension, a plaque I put in the garage. I thought Lucille would be glad. More time together, pick up June from school, maybe drive to Hot Springs on weekends. First week home, I reorganized the garage. She watched from the kitchen window like I was a stranger in the yard. Second week, I made lunch for both of us. She ate in the bedroom. You don't have to do all that, she said when I brought her a plate. I know. I wanted to. She looked at me, not with anger, not with love. Tolerance. Like I was whether she couldn't control. Then came Tuesday. The hallway. The cold coffee. And my wife telling Corinne Oglesby, her hairdresser, her confessor, her 2-hour every 3 weeks therapist, that losing me wasn't soon enough. I stood there for 30 seconds. Then I walked down the hall, set the mug on the bathroom counter, and sat on the edge of the bathtub. My hands were steady. They shouldn't have been. She mentioned Barbara's house. 3 months. 4 years ago. She told me she needed time with her sister. Finding myself, she said. I packed her favorite pillow in the suitcase. Drove her to the airport. Called her every night. You know exactly why, she told Corinne. And Corinne laughed like she'd been keeping that secret warm for years. I went to the basement that night. Old couch, lights off, TV on with the sound down. Blue glow on the ceiling. I don't remember going down there. I woke up at 4 in the morning, still sitting upright, neck locked, remote in my hand. Screen asking if I was still watching. I wasn't. Not anymore. Thursday morning, I called Terrence Edmonds. Friends since 10th grade. He picked up on the second ring. I need a name, I said. A lawyer. A good one. He didn't ask why. Beulah Norwood. Capitol Avenue, downtown. She doesn't lose. Here's where things changed. Not with a confrontation, not with a scene. I just started moving differently. I began running at 5 in the morning. First day was more walking than running, huffing past the houses on Kavanaugh while the streetlights were still on. By the second week, 3 miles before sunrise. Something about the dark and the cold and the sound of my own breathing. It was the first time in months I didn't feel like I was borrowing someone else's air. Lucille woke up to an empty bed every morning. She didn't mention it for 4 days. "Where do you go?" she asked on Friday. "Running." "Since when?" "Since now." She stared. I poured June cereal and kissed the top of her head and said nothing else. Monday, she mentioned the gutters needed cleaning. I said, "I'll get to it," and drove to the overlook by the Arkansas River. Parked my truck facing the water. Radio on low. An hour passed like 10 minutes. Tuesday, she asked what was for dinner. I said, "Not sure." "What are you making?" The look on her face, like I'd spoken in a language she didn't recognize. Wednesday, June had a school recital. I sat in the front row. Lucille texted at 6:15, running late. Hair appointment went long. Corinne. Every 3 weeks, 2 hours. I watched my daughter sing her song and clapped twice as hard. Thursday, she suggested we watch a movie together after June went to bed. I said I was meeting Terrence for coffee. Her jaw tightened. She wasn't used to being the one left behind. Friday, she came up behind me while I was reading and put her hand on my shoulder. I didn't flinch, didn't lean in. Turn the page. "What is wrong with you?" she said. "Nothing's wrong with me, Lucille. You're different. Distant. Maybe I am." She stood in that doorway a long time. Then she went upstairs. And I kept reading. Second week was different. She stopped asking. Stopped suggesting. The sighing came back, but harder now. Not resigned, frustrated. She'd walk past me in the kitchen like I was a support beam. Functional. Invisible. Tuesday, she slammed a cabinet door so hard the glasses rattled. I looked up from my book. She stared at me, waiting for me to ask what was wrong. I didn't. "You're doing this on purpose," she said. "Doing what?" "This." The silence. The running. The disappearing. "I'm right here, Lucille." "No, you're not. You're here like furniture is here." I closed my book. Looked at her. Funny. That's exactly how I've felt for the last 3 years. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Walked out. Wednesday night. She came to the living room where I was watching the news with June. She sat on the other end of the couch. Close enough to be seen. Far enough to not be questioned. June looked between us like she was watching a tennis match she didn't understand. "June, go brush your teeth," Lucille said. June went. "Dale, talk to me." "About what?" "About whatever this is. Whatever's happening. Because you're scaring me." You know what almost got me? That word. Scaring. Because her voice shook when she said it. And for a second I thought, maybe she really is afraid. Maybe this is what it looks like when the wall cracks. But then she followed it with, "If you're having some kind of episode, I can call someone." An episode. Like I was malfunctioning. Like the problem wasn't 31 years of slow erasure. The problem was that I'd finally noticed. "I'm fine," I said. "Better than I've been in years." She stared at me like I'd pulled a knife. Thursday, she didn't speak to me at all. Not a word. Moved through the house like I wasn't in it. Which, ironically, was what she'd wanted all along. Except now she didn't like it. Friday morning, I was lacing up my running shoes at the back door. She appeared in the hallway in her robe. I called Dr. Feldman's office. Made us an appointment. Marriage counseling. Next Thursday. I looked at her. Did Corinne recommend that too? What does Corinne have to do with anything? Everything, Lucille. But you don't see it yet. She slammed the bedroom door so hard June woke up crying. The next Saturday, something shifted. Lucille came downstairs wearing the blue dress, the one from June's baptism. Hair done. Perfume. She made breakfast. Blueberry pancakes, the kind June begs for. "Sit down," she said. Soft voice. Almost shy. I sat. June was coloring at the end of the table. Lucille poured my coffee, the way I take it, black, no sugar, and sat across from me. "Remember when we took June to the zoo? She cried because the penguins couldn't fly." I remember. Those were good days, Dale. They were. She reached across the table. Her fingers touched the back of my hand. And something in her eyes. I'll tell you, it looked real. Unguarded. The woman from Shoney's who laughed at my bad joke about the power grid and let me walk her to her car after her shift. I almost broke. Almost reached across and took her hand and said yes. Let's go back. Let's fix this. I'll forget everything I heard. Part of me wanted to. The part that remembered her breathing in rhythm with June on the couch. The part that remembered my father saying, "Don't give her a reason." But something held me still. Call it 31 years of pattern recognition. Sunday afternoon. June was at a friend's birthday party. I came back from my run and heard Lucille on the phone in the kitchen. Same voice from Saturday, but aimed at a different audience. "He's being weird, Corinne. Distant. Cold. Like he's planning something." Pause. "No. I told you. I handled it. Breakfast, the blue dress, the whole routine." He softened, but he didn't break. Pause. "He's a simple man, Corinne. He sees what I show him. I just need to keep showing until he forgets." I stood in the garage doorway, sweat cooling on my neck, and listened to my wife review Saturday morning like a post-game report. The pancakes, the dress, the tender eyes. Moves, not moments. A performance, not a person. Here's the thing about patience. People mistake it for weakness. They think the quiet man isn't paying attention. They think because he retreats, he doesn't see. I saw everything. I just didn't have anywhere to put it yet. The next week, Corinne came to the house. Wednesday afternoon. I was in the backyard fixing the fence gate. Not because Lucille asked, but because June kept swinging on it, and I didn't want her to fall. I heard the doorbell, then voices, then the kitchen chair scraping. Went around to the side door. Through the screen, I could see them at the table. Coffee cups. Corinne leaning forward, hands moving while she talked. "You can't just wait him out, Lucy. Men like Dale, the quiet ones, they don't come back if you push too hard. You need to give him something to hold on to. Make him think leaving is his loss." Lucille was nodding, taking notes from her hairdresser on how to manage her husband. "What about the counseling?" Lucille asked. "Perfect move. But don't actually go. Just the offer shows effort. If he brings it up later, you can say he didn't follow through." Corinne sipped her coffee. "And Lucy, that other thing? From before? He can never find out. You understand that, right? If he finds out about that, there's no strategy that saves this. He won't. He's not that kind of man." "Good. Because the last time someone's husband found out," Corinne shook her head. "Let's just say Patricia Morrison's situation got ugly fast." I stood on the other side of that screen door with dirt on my hands and heard my wife's marriage being coached like a reality show. Every soft moment, every tender word, every teary offer of counseling, choreographed from a salon chair. I went back to the fence, finished the gate, tested it twice. Then I washed my hands and called Beulah Norwood. I met Beulah on Thursday. Small office, tall bookshelf, a woman who looked at you like she'd already read the last page. Small office, tall bookshelf, a woman who looked at you like she'd already read the last page. "How long?" she asked. "Years. I just didn't have a name for it." Beulah pulled a legal pad toward her. "Let's name things." I told her everything. The sighing, the flinching, the 2 years of not tonight, 3 months at Barbara's, the hallway conversation, the breakfast performance. She asked one question. "Do you want to save this marriage, or do you want to survive it?" "I want to stop being furniture in my own house." "Then we make you visible where it counts." On paper. That Sunday, Terrence called. Late. "Dale, I need to tell you something. I've been chewing on it for 2 weeks, and I can't swallow it anymore." His cousin's wife, Patricia Morrison, used to go to Corinne's salon. Same chair, same 2-hour sessions. Patricia started pulling away from her husband. Started talking about finding herself. Marriage ended in 8 months. Corinne introduced Patricia to a man, Terrence said. Guy who worked at her second salon location, off Chanel. And when the marriage blew up, Corinne told everyone the husband was controlling. Same words. Same script. My truck was parked at the overlook. River below, city lights scattered on the water. Radio on low. I could hear Terrence breathing on the other end. "You think Lucille? I think you should call Barbara. And I don't think Barbara is going to tell you what Lucille told you." Monday morning, I called her. Lucille's sister, up in Fort Smith. "Barbara, when Lucille stayed with you 4 years ago, all 3 months, was she there the whole time?" Silence. The kind that answers before any word can. "Dale, just tell me." "She stayed with me the first week. Then she moved to an apartment across town. She said she needed space from everybody, you and me. I thought that's all it was." "Did you meet anyone?" "A man. Once. She said he was a friend of Corinne's." Long breath. "Dale, I wanted to call you." She made me promise. "You don't owe me an explanation, Barbara." I hung up, walked to the kitchen. Lucille was packing June's lunchbox. "How's Barbara?" she asked without turning around. "Fine. She sends her love." Lucille nodded. "Simple husband, Simple answers. That night, tucking June in, she pulled my sleeve. Daddy, how come you and Mommy don't laugh together? I kissed her forehead. Sometimes people forget how, Junebug. She looked at me with those 7-year-old eyes that cut through every wall adults build. You should practice. I sat on the edge of her bed until she fell asleep. Then I went downstairs and finished organizing everything Beulah needed. 2 weeks later, Beulah said we were ready whenever I was. Lucille came home from Corinne's on a Thursday, energized, practiced, loaded, and sat across from me at the kitchen table. Dale, I've been thinking. About us. About this distance. Go on. Maybe we should try counseling. A fresh start. I know I haven't always been. She paused. Recalibrated. I want to try? For June. For us. Her eyes were wet. Her voice cracked on us. And I'll be honest, if I hadn't heard he sees what I show him, if I hadn't heard Corinne's post-game analysis, I would have walked across that kitchen and held her. Because she was good. 31 years of practice will make anyone good. That's kind of you, Lucille. When did Corinne suggest it? Her face went flat. The tears froze mid-track. Corinne has everything to do with this. She had everything to do with Patricia Morrison's divorce too. Same salon. Same playbook. Same ending. The kitchen went quiet. Clock on the wall ticking. And those 3 months at Barbara's. Except you weren't at Barbara's. Not after the first week. Barbara told me. About the apartment. About the man. Corinne's friend. Lucille's face drained. The performance didn't collapse. It dissolved. Like a house settling into its own cracks. Barbara had no right. You had no right, Lucille. I watched the tactics move across her face like clouds. Tears forming. Anger tightening her jaw. The mask trying to resettle. Fear underneath everything. It was a mistake, Dale. I was lost. I didn't know who I was anymore. So you found yourself with someone else. Then came home and sat at this table for 4 years and let me believe you'd been at Barbara's. I ended it. I came back to you. You came back to the house, Lucille. Not to me. Those are different things. She switched tactics. Anger now. Eyes hardening. You know what, Dale? Maybe I wouldn't have needed to leave if you'd been here. Really here. Not just occupying space. You spent 30 years coming home exhausted, sitting in your chair, watching the news. You never asked me what I wanted. You never noticed I was disappearing. I noticed. I just thought you'd tell me if something was wrong. That's what people who love each other do. I tried. You retreated. Every single time. And every time I stepped forward, you said I was suffocating you. She switched again. Bargaining. Voice dropping, hands trembling. What about June? She's 7, Dale. She needs both of us under one roof. June needs parents who don't teach her that this is what a marriage looks like. That one landed. I could see it. She looked away. Looked back. You told Corinne I follow you room to room like a lost dog. You said the best part of our marriage was me being gone. You said I was simple. That I see what you show me. I leaned forward. Not angry. Clear. You were right about that last part. I did see what you showed me. But here's what you missed. I also heard what you didn't mean for me to hear. I heard you review the pancake breakfast with Corinne like a game tape. I heard her coaching you through my screen door. I heard Patricia Morrison's name come out of your friend's mouth like a warning. She pressed her palms flat on the table. Under every mask, the blue dress, the pancakes, the practiced tears, the counseling pitch. There was a woman who looked small and frightened and very young. Not cruel, not evil, just someone who'd spent so long performing that she'd forgotten there was a person underneath. What are you going to do? She whispered. I slid the folder across the table. Beulah's work. Clean, fair, thorough. I wasn't taking the house. I wasn't emptying the accounts. I was taking my life back. You wanted the house to yourself, Lucille. You have it. She opened it. Her hands shook. You already, 3 weeks ago. I was waiting to see if you'd tell me the truth on your own. You chose Corinne's script instead. I stood up. Set my coffee mug in the sink. The blue one, the one I've had since before we married. Left it there. I didn't stop loving you, Lucille. I stopped waiting for you to notice. I moved into a furnished apartment off Markham Street on a Saturday morning. 2 suitcases. Running shoes. The framed photo of June at the zoo, standing by the penguins with her arms spread wide, trying to teach them how. Lucille stood on the porch. She didn't cry. Didn't yell. She held a coffee mug, my blue one, from the sink, like she'd forgotten how to set it down. June held my hand by the truck. Are you coming back for dinner? I'll pick you up Friday, Junebug. Pancakes. With the faces? Always with the faces. I pulled out at 7:42 a.m. 31 years in one rearview mirror. Drove to the overlook. Parked facing the river. Radio on low. Sat there. It wasn't peaceful. It was clear. And after 31 years of fog, clear was enough. That was November. By February I had a rhythm. Run at 5. Coffee at 6. June every Friday and every other weekend. The apartment smells like fresh paint and the kind of quiet where nobody sighs when you walk into the room. Terrence told me Corinne's salon lost 7 regulars after Patricia Morrison told her story at a church function. Lucille stopped going. I don't know who does her hair now. She texted once, in January. I keep reaching for your mug in the cabinet. I wrote back. It's on the counter by my window. Getting plenty of sun. She didn't respond. Last Friday, June was drawing at my kitchen table. Crayons everywhere, tongue poking out the way it does when she concentrates. She looked up and said, Daddy, you smile different now. Different how? Like you mean it. I didn't know what to say to that. So I just kept flipping pancakes. She said I followed her room to room. Like a lost dog. She was wrong about one thing. Dogs come back. Dear listeners, that's our ending. If it resonated, subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.